What if I told you there's a powerful, scientifically backed health hack that's totally free, and it's literally right under your feet? It's something our ancestors did every single day, but somewhere along the way, we've kind of lost touch with it. So today, let's dive deep into this forgotten health secret, the amazing science of barefoot walking. And we're going to start with a pretty bold question here. Are your shoes actually making you sick? I know, it sounds a little extreme, right? But stick with me, because the science we're about to unpack suggests our modern footwear might be disconnecting us from one of nature's most powerful healing forces. And to really get why this is so important, we have to look at the stakes. According to official data from COSIS back in 2021, heart disease and cerebrovascular diseases, that's a fancy term for conditions that affect blood flow to the brain, like strokes, are the second and fourth biggest killers in South Korea. This is a huge health crisis, and it's got scientists racing to find new ways to promote health and healing. Okay, so what in the world does this have to do with our feet? Well, think about the shoes you're wearing. Most of them have rubber or plastic soles, right? Those act as insulators. They completely cut you off from the ground. But when you're barefoot, you're grounded. You're directly connected to the Earth's natural energy. And that tiny difference? Well, it's the key to this whole story.
Yeah, this idea actually has a scientific name. It's called earthing. It's just the simple act of letting your body touch the Earth's surface directly. A landmark 2013 study from Chevalier and his team found that earthing can reduce something called blood viscosity. Now, what's that? Basically, it's how thick and sticky your blood is. Thick blood is like trying to pump ketchup through a straw. It's hard work for your heart. Thinner blood is more like water. That study suggested earthing helps make your blood flow more like water, which is an absolute game changer for cardiovascular health.
So, the theory sounds great, but does it actually hold up in the real world? Well, let's see what happened when science put it to the test in what I'm calling the Great Barefoot versus Shoes Showdown, all based on an incredible study from Chungbuk National University. Just picture a place like this. To get real answers, researchers in South Korea set up a brilliant experiment. And they didn't do it in some sterile white lab. Nope, they took it out into nature, on a beautiful, peaceful forest path, pretty much exactly like the one you're seeing. So how'd it work? It was beautifully simple. They got a group of 18 middle-aged women and split them in two. You had the barefoot team and the shoot team. For a whole month, both teams walked on that same forest path for 30 minutes, just twice a week. And the whole time, the scientists were carefully measuring their health results.
All right, so after 4 weeks of walking in the woods, what happened? Let's get to the juicy part, the surprising results of this head-to-head battle.
The researchers were hunting for the answer to one really crucial question. Who ended up with healthier blood vessels? Remember those scary stats we talked about? This is where it all comes together. This is where the barefoot, meets the road. And the results were, wow. They were crystal clear. Look, any kind of walking is good for you, for sure. But the barefoot walkers, they saw a significantly greater improvement in their vascular health. That means their blood vessels became way more flexible and healthier. The simple act of taking off their shoes made a massive difference. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The scientists themselves put it plain and simple. Here's a direct quote from that 2023 study by Jung and Yan. Barefoot walking in the forest has a more positive effect on vascular health and psychological well-being than walkers in shoes. That is a powerful, direct scientific conclusion right there. Okay, a controlled experiment is super powerful. But does this actually apply to more people? Well, the researchers also went out and surveyed 305 regular folks who walk, just to see what was happening out in the real world. And they kicked things off by asking a really simple question. Why? Why do people really decide to walk barefoot? What's the motivation to ditch the shoes? And the answers they got, they were incredibly revealing. So check out this contrast. It's wild. While most people, both with and without shoes, walk for general health, look at that second line. Over 21% of the barefoot walkers said they were doing it specifically for disease healing. That is more than 16 times the number of people wearing shoes. This tells us that for a lot of people, barefoot walking isn't just exercise. It's a targeted journey towards feeling better. So the big question is, are they actually getting those results? The survey shouts a definite yes. The number one benefit people reported was smoother blood circulation, which, hey, lines up perfectly with that scientific experiment we just talked about. And right behind that, dramatically improved sleep. We're not talking about small changes here. These are real, tangible benefits that can change your life. And you know what? The benefits weren't just physical. The survey found that barefoot walkers also felt a much stronger sense of happiness and psychological well-being. It seems like connecting with the earth is just as good for your mind and your spirit as it is for your body.
So, after all this science, what does it all mean for you? Well, that brings us to our last part. This is your invitation to connect, and a little guide on how you can start your own barefoot journey. So let's just recap the big takeaways, nice and simple. The science and the real-world experiences show that barefoot walking can improve your vascular health, help you sleep better, seriously boost your mood and happiness, and support your body's own natural healing abilities.
So, are you ready to feel the earth for yourself? You don't need any fancy gear or anything. All you gotta do is find a safe, clean spot, a park, a trail, maybe a beach. Just take off your shoes and socks and take that first step. Seriously, even just a few minutes can start to make a difference.
And here's the best part, you don't have to do it alone. There is a huge, welcoming community of people out there sharing their stories. You can join in, share tips, and hear from others at the Barefoot Walking National Movement headquarters on Neighbor Cafe. It's a really fantastic resource for getting more info and connecting with people on the same journey. We have covered a lot of ground today, literally. If you found this explainer helpful and want more deep dives like this, it would mean the world if you'd support us by subscribing, hitting that like button, and turning on notifications.
And I'll just leave you with one final thought to walk away with. What if the simplest, the most ancient, and the most natural path to better health is the one we were all born to walk?